We are very happy this morning to have with us Swami Vimohananda. He's the head of the Vivekananda Vedanta Society in British Columbia in Vancouver. And I'm grateful that Swami Yogatmanandaji brought him here from... No, he drove the car, but you brought him. Yeah. So we are glad to have him with us as well. This is Swami Vimohananda's first visit to Boston, and I was speaking with him a little earlier, and we were speaking about the seasons in different places, and he said one of the major things in Vancouver is just rain all the time. So he had come here with the hope to see the New England lovely spring weather, and he found another rain here. So the rain has accompanied him all the way from Vancouver. Swami Vimohananda joined the order in 1988, and for the first 25 years, almost, he was at the Premium Publication Center of the Ramakrishna Order in Advaita Ashrama in Calcutta. He has edited and translated a large number of books. He's a great scholar, and we are very happy to have him in our midst today, and he will speak on what is Maya. Swami Vimohananda.
Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Sarupaya Swamini Tapaharini. I'm feeling a little tongue-tied and of course scarcely able to believe my good fortune that I have been able to come here and I have the company of two revered Swamijis with me, which of course makes me a little more diffident in speaking anything. But we will just be discussing the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, and for most of the part I will be quoting him only. If there is any small explanation required, I will just try. So, as revered Maharaj has said, we will be discussing in a very concise way Swamiji's unique, absolutely unique explanation of the term Maya. And most of you know that this is a part of Swami Vivekananda's Jnana Yoga. The 4 yogas, I'm sure you know. The Jnana Yoga is the path of knowledge and discrimination, and like all his speeches and writings, he has dealt it in a masterly way. So let's see, we will first have a glimpse of what the senses in which Maya has been used, and of course then we'll come to Swami Vivekananda's absolutely unique interpretation. When he starts the talk about this, he himself says that almost all of you have heard of the word Maya. And we were born and brought up in India, as a young child, we are hearing this word. Parents will say sometimes, if some calamity, oh, what Maya? Or if there is some trouble, oh, such is Maya. So we have been hearing the word since we are children, and slowly have got to know the many connotations of this word. So Swamiji says the same thing, and in our scriptures generally it is used, Swamiji says, to denote illusion or delusion or some such other thing. But Swamiji says this may not be completely correct. He says the theory of Maya forms one of the pillars upon which the Vedanta rests. So it is very necessary that it should be properly understood. And he first takes us back to the Vedas, where the word might have been used in the beginning. So he says the oldest idea of Maya that we find in the Vedic literature is in the sense of delusion. But then he says at that time the real theory had not been reached. So when it is used in the sense of delusion, he quotes a passage. You may have been familiar with it. Indro Maya bhi pururupa iyate. Indra, you know the name of the god, the king of gods he is supposed to be. Maya bhi, through Maya, he assumed various forms. So here it's kind of an illusion. And those who have seen our, in India, the television serials of Ramayana and Mahabharata are very popular. So when Indrajit is fighting Lakshmana, he assumes various forms. So we say that he is assuming these forms with the help of Maya. So the same sense is conveyed here. Now here it is true, Swamiji says, that the word Maya means something like magic. And we find various other passages also, always having the same meaning. Then he says, the word Maya, for some time, it dropped out of sight, as it were. Then it came again, it reappeared. And the question was raised, why can't we know the secret of the universe? In the Vedas, this question was raised. And the answer given was very significant. Because we talk in vain, because we are satisfied with the things of the senses, and because we are running after desires. Because of all these, what do we do? We are doing it, mind you. Because of these things, we cover the reality with a mist. So this covering of the reality is another connotation of this word. Here the word Maya is not used at all actually, but we get the idea that the cause of our ignorance is a kind of mist which does not allow us to see clearly, does not allow us to have a vision of the reality. And this Sri Ramakrishna has explained very clearly in the Gospel in a very simple way. He just keeps a towel in front of him and he says, now you cannot see me. So this is another meaning of the word Maya. Then again, much later on, in one of the later Upanishads, we find the word Maya reappearing. But Swamiji says again a transformation has taken place and a mass of new meaning has been attached to the word. This is a very famous verse from Shvetashvatara Upanishad which he quotes. Know nature to be Maya. Prakritim Vidyam. Prakriti is the word for nature. And Mayavi. Who's the Mayavi? God himself. The ruler of this Maya is the Lord himself. Maya Vimtu Maheshwaram. So now see, nature has been assigned the place of Maya. Nature here means the material cause of this universe. So this much about the traditional meaning of Maya. And in the Gita, of course, you have read, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi. My divine Maya is made up of 3 gunas. But we won't go into detail in all that. Now we have to come to the unique interpretation which Swami Vivekananda has given. And of course, revered Swamis will correct me, but as far as we know, this kind of interpretation has not been given in any other scripture in this form which Swami Vivekananda gives. What does Swamiji say? He does not give any great philosophy behind this. He just says one sentence and then he elaborates. he says, it's a simple statement of facts. Now we may ask that if it is a simple statement of facts, he says what we are and what we see around us, then what is the need of elaborating? We all know. But problem is we see but we don't see. So that is why these saints come to make us see what, because of our ignorance, we cannot penetrate behind the reality of things. So, Swami Vivekananda says it is just a statement of facts. And from this we can see understanding Maya means what? Just understanding our living conditions. We all live in the world. Our hopes, aspirations, on what beliefs they are based, how they should be regulated. Everything currently, unless we are highly spiritual, all our hopes and aspirations are based on this world. We look to the world to get what we want. We hope, expect everything from this world. Now, Swami Vivekananda says, yes, you are basing all your aspirations upon this world. You are trying to find satisfaction. You are trying to find fulfillment in this world. Millions of us have been doing it for millions of years. But rarely do we see, if at all, someone really finding what he seeks from this world. So he seems to ask us, have you really seriously examined the nature of the world? Have you really bothered to do that? He says, if we try, then what will you see? Only one thing. We will see contradictions only. At every step, we will see contradictions. And he elaborates. First of all, the existence of the world itself is a contradiction. You may have heard so many times, according to Vedanta, that the world does not exist in all the three kalas, all the three times, past, present and future. And we must have heard that the world has no absolute existence. So when we say the world has no existence, what is meant by that? Swami Vivekananda says, it means that the world has no absolute existence. This word absolute is very important. If the world did not have any existence at all, then nobody would have been able to experience it. But we are all experiencing it. We are interacting with the world. So we cannot say the world does not exist at all. Then what is the answer? The answer is that the world has no absolute existence. It means that it exists only in relation to your mind, to my mind, and to the mind of everyone else. Swami Vivekananda says we just experience the world with our 5 senses. But if we had another sense, we would see in it something more. Like, infrared, all these instruments, which see much more than our naked eyes can see. If we had yet another sense, it would appear as something still different. This means what? Therefore, we conclude that the world has no real or absolute existence because it is changing according to our vision. Therefore, it has no unchangeable, immovable, infinite existence. But it cannot be called non-existent also, seeing that we experience it all the time. And he says, we are slaving and working in and through it. So very existence of the world, say, it is a mixture. The world itself is a mixture of existence and non-existence. This is the first contradiction. Coming to our practical life, since we are also a part of this world, since the world itself is a mixture, it's a contradiction, and naturally, if we are a part of this world, it stands to reason that our whole life is a contradiction. It's a mixture of existence and non-existence. To give some examples. First, there is contradiction in knowledge. It seems that human beings can know everything. We have invented such great machines, telescope, space, this, that, rockets. And we think that only if we want to know, we can know everything. We can penetrate the ocean, go deep into the ocean, penetrate the galaxies. But before he has gone a few steps, he finds an adamantine wall which he cannot pass. All his work is in a circle and he cannot go beyond that circle. The problems which are nearest and dearest to him are impelling him on and calling him for a solution, but he cannot solve them. Why? Because he cannot go beyond his mind, beyond his intellect. And this intellect is within this world, it is within law, it is bound. Since he cannot go beyond that, he cannot find what he is seeking. He cannot find the source of all knowledge. But still, this desire is seriously implanted in him. We cannot get rid of it. In fact, we should not. Then again, with every breath, every impulse of our heart asks us to be selfish. At the same time, there is some power beyond us which says that actually it is unselfishness alone which is good. So there is a contradiction. We are fighting against our lower nature all the time. Something impels us. Our natural desire is to have something for our own selves. But some voice at the back is telling us, no, you should check that desire. Another one. Every child is a born optimist. He dreams golden dreams. We know, we were young, all of us, at one time. And of course, many people are still there who are young here. In youth, he becomes still more optimistic. It is hard for a young man or a woman to believe that there is such a thing as death, such a thing as defeat or degradation. But old age comes. And sometimes then life is a mass of ruins. Dreams have vanished into the air, and the same man seeing golden dreams, hoping for a wonderful future, becomes a pessimist. So see, contradictions everywhere, they abound. The man who has enough to eat and drink is an optimist, and he avoids all mention of misery because it frightens him. Tell him not of the sorrows and sufferings of the world. Go to him and tell him it is all good. Yes, I am safe, says he. Look at me. I have a nice house to live in. I don't fear cold and hunger. Therefore, don't bring all these pictures, all these horrible pictures before me. And actually, you see the stark contrast. When you come from India, we were there, we used to mix with the poor people. We have seen their suffering firsthand. And naturally, when we come to Western countries, the whole picture changes. So many people here would not be able to stand those sights. They would be afraid of them. So they can say like that, don't bring these pictures before me. But on the other hand, there are others who are dying of cold and hunger. And you can see what is happening in the Middle East. Now, if you go and teach those people who are suffering that everything is good, you probably won't survive. Because naturally, how can they wish others to be in such comfort when they are miserable? So here also see, is the same world, two parts of the world, but we are oscillating between optimism and pessimism. So these contradictions are an integral part of this world. Then Swamiji says, he gives another connotation of the meaning, another connotation of the word, another meaning. What is that? That is irrationality. We don't be rational all the time. Irrationality born of attachment. We see but don't see. We realize but don't realize. We know but don't know. And of course, he gives concrete examples. A mother is nursing a child with great care. All her soul, her life is in that child. The child grows, becomes a man, perchance becomes a blackguard and a brute, kicks her and beats her every day, and yet the mother clings to the child. Someday her reason awakes, but she covers it up with the idea of love. Although in her heart of hearts she may know it is not love. It is something which has got hold of her nerves and she cannot let go. She cannot shake off the bondage she is in. And Swamiji says, this is Maya. And the greatest example in our mythology, we see of this irrationality born of attachment, tremendous attachment, is the great king Dhritarashtra, who because of his tremendous attachment to his evil son, he was responsible for destroying his own clan. So we are all hoping for the golden fleece, Swamiji says. We are all after that. Every one of us thinks that this will be his. Every reasonable man sees that his chance is perhaps 1 in 20 million. Yet, everyone struggles after it. And this is Maya. And of course, the famous question which was asked of Yudhishthira. You must be knowing the question. What is it? In Mahabharata, what was the question asked of Yudhishthira? What is the most surprising thing in the world? And what did he say? He said, the most surprising thing is, every day people are dying around us. And yet, those who remain think that they will never die. Ahani ahani bhutani gacchanti yama mandiram. Shesha sthiratvam icchanti. Sthiratvam means I will be there. Others may go, but I will be there. I won't go. And this is Maya. So these tremendous contradictions in our intellect, in our knowledge, in all facts of our life, face us on all sides, but we are not aware of them. And we know the eternal problem of good and evil. We are constantly discussing the happenings of the world. Sometimes we are deeply affected by some unpleasant situations. Why? We find it difficult to accept the existence of evil. But why should it be so? Swamiji says. If there is contradictions abound in every other sphere, why should contradicts also not exist in this sphere? Why should we not realize that wherever there is good, there has to be evil? Wherever there is evil, there has to be good in some form or the other. So generally we think what? That the world is progressing. In the what sense? We are going to do good, going to be good, all the people will be good, and ultimately only good will remain. Swamiji says this is a childish idea. We think that one of the features of evolution is that it eliminates evil, and thus evil being continually eliminated from the world, only good will remain. Swamiji says it takes for granted two things which are entirely wrong. First of all, it takes for granted that good and evil are completely separate watertight existences. Secondly, it makes the worst assumption, he says, that the amount of good is an increasing quantity while the amount of evil is a decreasing quantity. And both are wrong. As the power of experiencing good, appreciating good increases in us, so does the sensitivity to evil also increase. He says the man who lives in a forest, who doesn't know how to cultivate the mind, cannot read a book. If he is severely wounded, he is soon all right. While we die if we get a scratch. Machines are making things cheap, making for progress, but millions are crushed that one may become rich. We all know what is happening. So we get a stomach ache, we call it evil. But on this stomach ache depends the whole of the medical industry. If illness were to be wiped out, millions of jobs would be wiped out. Millions would die of hunger. Now what do you call this stomach ache then? Is it a good or evil? On one side it is good, on one side it is evil. So as we emerged, our aim is to become cultured. But here also Swamiji says, as we emerge from this slavery to senses, we develop higher powers of enjoyment. But at the same time, we are bound to develop higher powers of suffering too. Can't escape it. The nerves become finer and capable of more suffering. In every society, we find that the ignorant common man, when abused, does not feel much, but he feels a good thrashing. But a gentleman cannot bear a single word, even a single rude word, because he has become so finely nerved. So what are we seeing here? Misery has increased with our susceptibility to happiness. As we increase our power to be happy, which we are always doing, continuously doing, in spite of ourselves, we also increase our power to suffer. The more we progress, the more avenues are open to pain as well as pleasure. You cannot have one only. It is impossible. And this is Maya. So where will we go? Which side do we go? Physical happiness increases, spiritual happiness lessens. Spiritual happiness increases, physical happiness lessens. The knowledge of happiness brings the knowledge of unhappiness. There are many definitions of happiness in our Western culture also. As the mind evolves, the main thing to know here, what the sum and substance of Swamiji says, as the mind evolves, if more avenues of pleasure are opened, simultaneously and equal avenues of pain are also opened. And his famous poem is there to a friend. His immortal words, he says, "Nobler is your heart, know for certain, the more must be your share of misery." The absolutely selfish man who thinks of nothing beyond himself, he spared so much of misery. He doesn't care what is happening to his neighbor, what is happening in another country. But those whose heart grows, who feels for others, the suffering of others also enters into them. See how Swami Vivekananda had suffered. Once he had got up in the middle of the night and Swami Vivekananda, I think, was sleeping near. So he himself has seen this. Swami Vivekananda was pacing up and down restlessly. What has happened, Swamiji? Swamiji said some great calamity has occurred somewhere in the world. And then next day they knew of some volcano being erupted. So these people have become so finely nerved. On one hand, they are experiencing the bliss of God, but on the other hand, the suffering of the whole world is as if entering into them. So this means what? Actually, that good and evil define each other. Without the existence of evil, we would have no concept of good, as good is only understood in contrast to what is harmful, unjust. If there is no reference point, everything is relative in the world. If two trains are moving at the same speed, both are stationary, relative to each other. So as soon as you say good, automatically the question comes up, good in relation to what? Similarly, evil. Evil is only understood in relation to what is virtuous, kind, or just. Their meanings are mutually shaped by each other. Two teams are competing. We say one of them has won. If the other had not lost, would this statement have any meaning? So, we cannot separate good and evil. But is it not what we are trying to do each moment of our lives? So, we are trying to do the impossible. And anybody who tries to do the impossible has to fail in the end. It's like a seesaw. Only when one side goes down can the other side come up. If you cut a seesaw into a half, it won't be a seesaw anymore. So, if you could completely separate good and evil, the world would not be a world at all. Swamiji says, the young do not see it clearly, but those who have lived long enough and those who have struggled enough will understand it. These things are going on day and night, he says. Now what to do? I am going to seek happiness. When I return, the same amount of evil is there before me. What should I do then? What is the solution? He says, to find a solution of this problem is impossible. It's impossible within this world because we cannot change the nature of the world. Maya is a statement of fact of the universe. How is it going on? Now, people will get frightened. We get frightened when we hear this. Oh my God, what have I spent my life for? Chasing after a mirage. That mirage of happiness is making us run after it. And we want undiluted happiness. We don't want any misery with that. But this cannot be. And Swamiji says, don't let it make you afraid. People generally get frightened when these things are told to them. But he says, bold we must be. Hiding facts is not the way to find a remedy. Yes, this is the world of Maya. It is not a theory or explanation. It is simply a statement of facts as they exist, that the very basis of our being is a contradiction, that everywhere we have to move through this tremendous contradiction, that wherever there is good, there must be evil, and wherever there is evil, there must be some good. Wherever there is life, death must follow as its shadow, and everyone who smiles will have to weep. And this state of things cannot be remedied. Why? Because the remedy will have to be found within this world of contradictions, and that is not possible. So, then is there no hope? What are we supposed to do? Commit suicide? No. Swamiji says there is hope. Of course there is hope. Otherwise our whole life would be meaningless. And he says, who is telling us? Who is giving us the message of hope? God Himself. When He says, come to me, all of you who are burdened, and I will give you rest. Shri Krishna says in the Gita, give up everything and take shelter under me. Sarva dharman parityajya. So what does this mean? We should not think that God is telling us He will make everything right for us in this world. No, that cannot be done. Even God, who has created this world, cannot do it, because that is the nature of His creation, Swamiji says. So when God is calling us, what is He telling us? He is telling us, don't be limited to this world. You are not meant only to have this little body, to have these petty enjoyments, to cry one day, to weep the next day. You are not meant for this. Your nature is far beyond. So, what He is inviting us is to that realm, that divine realm, where this law which is in this world ceases to exist. This bondage, this inevitable following of happiness and misery ceases to exist. Then we go beyond all limitations. And that state is called the absolute existence. You can call it any name, Brahman, God, Maya, personalized form, Jesus, Buddha, but the meaning is the same. That absolute perfect existence, which is of the nature of knowledge, consciousness and bliss, which is beyond this world of Maya. Real freedom. And the scriptures say, once we can go there, once we reach there, once we actually realize this existence, which is always existing in our heart, we can cross Maya forever, for all time to come. Then what happens? Even when we descend to the world of Maya, we know these dualities to be mere mirages, so to say. We know that they have no real existence. So that is the supreme state being promised to us. Once we attain that, Shri Krishna says to Arjuna, once you attain that, Arjuna, no more can you be touched by suffering. So let us pray to God that we realize by God's grace our life in the world and the nature of this world, our true aspirations, and ultimately guide our lives in such a direction which will make us free forever. Thank you so much.